Soft glam makeup is one of the most staple makeup looks that you could do. It's literally perfect for any occasion and I feel like it is so slept on. When I think of soft glam, I think of glitter, mauve, and nudie pink makeup, and that's exactly the look I've created today. So if you want to learn how to create the ultimate soft glam makeup for 2025, then just keep on watching. I'm going to start with my eyes today. I like to start with the eyes first because if I get any fallout from any eyeshadows, it's really easy to clean up without disrupting my base. First, I'm going to go in with the P. Louise eyeshadow base in the shade Rumor 1, and I'm going to use this to carve out underneath my eyebrows. I like to do this first just so I have a clean base to start with and I don't have to go back in after I've done my eyeshadow and carve around my brows. I'm just going in with the product on a flat brush and using the edge of the brush just to create a nice crisp line. So I just like to take the edge of my sponge to tap out the product just so it's not a harsh line. And then you can just use the leftover product and blend that onto the eyelid. So that has doubled as carving out our brows and our eyeshadow base. So like I said before, when I think of soft glam, I think of mauvey kind of tones. So I've got two palettes that I'm going to use today. First, I've got the Sigma Beauty Spicy palette and the Too Faced Born This Way The Natural Nudes palette. I think both of these will be perfect, and I've also got some pigments and eyeshadows that I'm going to use as well. So I'm going to start by putting some colour into the crease, and I'm going in with the shade Trist from the Sigma palette on a Morphe M573 brush. And I'm just using some window wiper and swirling motions to blend that product into the crease. Next, on the same brush, I'm going to go in with the Cocoa shade from the Too Faced palette. And I'm just going to start deepening that crease and that outer edge. Now I'm picking up the shade Mocha from the Sigma palette on a Morphe M506 brush. And I'm just going to blend that through the crease and the outer edge as well. I'm using a smaller brush that we don't spread the product everywhere, keeping it more controlled. I'm just going back into the shade Cocoa and using that to soften the edge. And I'm going to pick up the shade Trist and do the same thing, but this time I'm using a clean Morphe M441 brush. And finally, I'm going to go in with the shade Swan from the Too Faced palette on a Morphe M433 brush. And I'm going to use this as my transition shade to buff all those colours into that eyeshadow base that we popped down earlier. You want to be really light-handed with this because we don't want to spread the colours up too far. I'm going to go in with the shade Warm Rose from the Too Faced palette and just buff that into the crease. I'm also placing it a little bit on the outer edge of the lid as well. And on the same brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Petal from the Too Faced palette and just work this into my crease also. So now that we've built up the crease eyeshadows, I'm going to focus on putting some colour onto the lid. I'm going to take this Inglot pigment in the shade 119 and I'm picking that up on an Inglot S6 brush and I'm just patting that onto the eyelid. If soft glam were an eyeshadow, I think it would be this. So I'm just stamping that up into my crease, almost creating an unofficial half cut crease shape. To just softly diffuse this into the rest of the eyeshadows, I'm just going to buff the very edge with one of those other fluffy brushes from before. So you can absolutely just leave the eyes here, but I'm going to do a smoky eyeliner. If you're really good at winged liner, you can do it with a liquid liner, but personally, I just prefer a smoky liner on myself. And if you're new to makeup, you'll probably find a smoky liner with eyeshadows is a lot easier to do. So now I'm taking a Sigma E65 brush in the shade Truffle from the Too Faced palette. And I'm just going to start creating a winged eyeliner shape just by stamping the product along my lash line and creating a small wing. On the same brush, I've just picked up some black eyeshadow from another palette and I'm just going to use that to deepen that winged eyeliner. So I'm going to leave the eyes here for now and we're going to move on to the rest of the face and then we'll finish up the eyes at the very end. If you had any fallout on your face, I would just take a makeup wipe with some micellar water and just wipe that away so it doesn't mix in with the foundation. And so now we're going to go in and do the skin. So you can use a foundation brush or a sponge. I prefer using a sponge because I feel like I can just get that really airbrushed texture. This is completely optional. I'm just going to use a primer. This is the e.l.f. Stay Cool Primer Stick. And I'm just going to apply that to my face simply for the reason that it's hot in New Zealand and this feels nice. In all honesty, I don't really believe in primers as such. I feel like you can get the same results with good skincare, but this one feels nice, so I'm going to use it today. I'm just going to rub that in so I've got even coverage everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to mix two foundations in together today. First up, I've got the Maybelline 30 Hour Superstay and the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I'm mixing these simply because I am slightly fake tanned And this is a little bit too dark for me and this is too light for me, so it's just pure convenience, but use any foundation you would like. And I'm just going to mix these in together using my sponge, literally on my face. If you have an eyeshadow palette mixing thing that you want to use, feel free to use that. But I'm just going to tap it into my skin. And also don't forget to blend down the neck, just so everything looks cohesive. Right, so foundation is blended out and I look like a ghost. The next step, I feel like cream products look so beautiful in Soft Glam, so I'm going to be using a cream contour today. This is the Inglot cream bronzer in the shade 89. So I'm just going to put a few dots along my cheeks. I like to do little lines along my nose like that and under my lip to start. And then I'm going to tap that in with a brush. I'm going to use the Sigma F53 Air Contour Brush. This one I just kind of rub in under my lower lip, doesn't really matter. And then I'm just going to use tapping motions to blend this onto my cheeks and into my hairline. Make sure that you do blend this into the hairline because you don't want it to be foundation, bronzer, and have a gap because it just looks funny. And then same for the nose, I kind of just swirl it in the front and then tap the sides. And this doesn't have to be perfect because we will be going in with concealer afterwards, so if you need to clean up anything or get rid of some product, that will be the time. So now that I've blended in those initial patterns, I'm going to do another 3 or 2 dots on the cheeks, and then I like to do right in my jawline there and a little bit underneath my chin, as you can see. And then I'll do a few dots along my forehead. And then I will blend all of that in as well. And this product is very buildable, which is why I like it. So always apply less because it's a lot easier to add more than it is to take off too much. And then same with the forehead, I just kind of stipple it in. And you kind of just want to like pull it into the hairline. Might have let that dry my head a little bit too long. So that is all blended. If there are any areas where you feel like the product is a little too harsh, go back in with your sponge or your foundation brush and just soften those edges. So now we're going to use some concealer. This is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and I like to just place a little bit of this under the eye and on the outer edge so that we can lift and sculpt. I'll do a little bit on my forehead, a little bit on my chin, and a little bit on my nose to tidy up that nose contour. And I'm just going to go on with my sponge and just blend. And I'm just going to use my sponge to blend this in. So now we're finished with the cream products. You can totally go in with a cream blush if you would like to, but I'm going to use powder blush today. The next step is to powder, and this is the Nakia Joy Cosmetics Velvet Finishing Powder in the brightening form. So you can apply this with a brush or you can use a powder puff. I like to use both, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit on my powder puff and press this into the skin. Now if you're like me and you have combination skin, you can totally just set your T-zone and leave everything else unset. Just beware if you're going to layer powder products over an unset base that it may cling to certain patches. So I would recommend doing cream products entirely if you are going to just set part of your face. When doing the under eyes, I like to get my sponge and just blend out the creases and then go in and press that product just so we're not setting any creases that have occurred while we've set the rest of our face. And then what I like to do is just go in with a brush and just kind of feather over the edges where I haven't pressed the powder in, just to make sure that everything is set. And this will guarantee that our powder products are not going to cling and be all patchy. So now I'm going to move on to powder bronzer. I'm going to go on with this Bronzy Cheeks face bronzer from Inglot in the shade 43. This is a Sigma F40 brush, and I'm just going to apply that bronzer pretty much everywhere that I put that cream contour. Make sure that you're flicking the product up so that you're bringing the face up and not dragging it down. I like to do some on my nose as well, and I'll just finish on the forehead with some circular motions. And if you feel like the product has built up a little bit too much, just go in with your powder brush and just blend it all out. So to warm this whole look up and kind of bring these colors together, I'm going to apply some blush. This is the Sigma Beauty blush in the shade Tiger Lily. I'm just taking a Sigma F25 brush and I'm going to apply this on the high points of my cheeks. Now you can be as heavy-handed as you want with blush. I love blush, so I am going to really layer it on. If you're wearing this kind kind of makeup for photos, I definitely would recommend kind of going a bit more heavy-handed than you typically would, just so you can actually see it in the pictures. Especially if you're doing something like bridal makeup, you do just really want everything to kind of pop. And again, if you've gone too heavy-handed, just take a powder brush and just tap some of that colour off. And to add some more glow onto the skin, because we did mattify it all, I'm going to go on with highlighter next. This is the What's Up Beauty Serengeti highlighter in the shade Wild Acacia. So I'm just applying this to the high points of my face, like my cupid's bow, my nose, and my cheekbones as well. You don't need a lot of this product, it's gorgeous, look at that. I also like to do a little bit above the center of my brows, just where the light would naturally hit. So next we're just going to work on the eyebrows. I am very blessed with very full eyebrows, so I don't like to do too much to them because we do want the eyes to kind of be the centerpiece of the look. So to fill my eyebrows in, I like to take my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Dark Brown. And first I just like to comb through them with the spoolie, and then I'll just go through with the pencil end and fill in any sparse areas, which for me is a little bit at the top and the edge of the tail. And I will drag some of that pencil through to the front as well. I'm being very light-handed because I want these to look like natural hairs and not like Sharpie blocks. Now we've done all that work to our eyebrows, we want to keep them nice. So I'm going to go with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze. And I'm just going to pick a little bit up in that spoolie and just run it through my brows. Now my eyebrows just like to kind of go up and out, so I don't bother trying to push them down because they do not stay put. So just style your brows however you like, but adding this in means that they will not move. For lips, I'm going to do a pretty simple look, kind of like a pinky nude. First I'm going to go in with the Colourpop Lippy Pencil in the shade BFF, and I'm just going to line my lips. This is such a pretty shade. For lipstick, I'm going to go in with Honey Love by MAC. You can see how well loved mine is. Seriously, this is just like such a timeless shade. And to top off the lips, I'm going to take this Fruit Fetish Lip Oil in Lychee Nectar from Milani. So the face is done. I will move on to the eyes, but I just want to finish by setting the skin. So contrary to popular belief, you don't want to set your face once you've done your mascara, your lashes, because I can guarantee you your mascara is going to transfer right onto your under eye. So instead I like to do this just before I'm about to finish off the eyes. So I'm going to take the Wet n Wild Natural Setting Spray and I'm just going to mist this over my skin. So back on the eyes, we're going to finish the under eye. So I'm just going to take the shade Mocha and just run that under my lower lash line. And then I'm just going to blend that out with the shade Trist from the Sigma palette. Now, we've highlighted the face, so we need to add some highlighter to the eyes. I'm picking up the shade Biscotti from the Sigma palette on a Morphe M321 brush. And I'm just going to highlight underneath my brow bone and in my inner corner. Now that looks very natural, so I am going to go in with one more eyeshadow. This is the Colourpop Single Shadow in the shade Ritz. So I'm going to pick that up on the same brush and just pop that in the inner corner. And you can bring it onto the lid as well if you want extra glam. And in the tight line and waterline, I'm going to pop some liners just to complete the eyes. I'm going to pop this cream gel liner from Colourpop in the shade Sunnyvale in my tight line. And in the waterline, I'm going to pop this cream gel liner from Colourpop in the shade Honey Dude. If you struggle with putting eyeliner in your waterline, just pull down with your pinky finger ever so slightly, and it helps to bring it away from the eye so you don't feel like you're going to stab yourself in the eye. For mascara, I'm going to take the Beauty Bay High Key Mascara, and I'm just going to coat my lashes. Now you can absolutely leave the look here if you don't want to wear lashes. You can pop on a half lash, but I'm going to pop on a full lash. So I'm going to pop on a set of these Magify lashes. I got these on Amazon. I will leave them linked below. And this is the final look. I did add a little inner corner wing because I did want to be a little bit extra today. I'm super happy with how the look came out. I feel like soft glam is so underrated. It's literally perfect for any occasion. So I hope this was helpful to you in achieving your ultimate soft glam for 2025. Let me know how this look came out in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications so that you never miss a post from me. If you want to see content I don't create here, check out my Instagram at MakeupWithAlix. All my social medias are linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!